And now I call in the ancestors of love, ancestors of wisdom, and the ancestors that we want to have the right relationship with. We call in those who walked before us, those who walk with us, and those who carry the sacred medicine that we are here to share with the world. We call in those who we remember and who we will never forget. We call in the ancestors that we know, who know our names, we know their names. We call in the ancestors who know our stories. We invite the ancestors who know why we are here right now. May only what is true, supportive, and aligned be present in this space. And may what is ready to be remembered just rise gently in each one of us. And may each of you receive exactly what your spirit is ready for. Now take one more deep breath in and just release. Beautiful. Feel yourself relax. The ancestors are surrounded us. You can even actually call in your ancestors if you want to. If you have a candle, you may want to light a candle just in honor of your ancestors. Last week, we began talking about the sacred blueprint. And after that conversation, several people reached out to me and they asked several questions. One was, do I really have a sacred blueprint? Because I've never known about it. I don't know if I really have one. Why do I not understand what it is, or why haven't I felt it before? And what does it actually include? What's in my sacred blueprint? And how do I discover it? And many people wanted to know, so once I know what it is, then what? Does it help me in any way? How do I take it and use it for something, or is it just a feel-good thing? And so today I wanted to continue the conversation on the sacred blueprint and not really repeat anything, but really go deeper with what it is and how powerful it is when you remember it and know what it is. Because the sacred blueprint isn't something you just learn about. It's something that begins to support you once you actually remember it. And you remember it by connecting with the ancestors that know what your sacred blueprint is. For those who are new, I want to welcome you. And I want to just introduce myself a little bit and give you a little bit of my background. I'm Dr. MoNique Hunt, the Conjure CEO in the Ancestral Griot. I come from a long line of conjure women, healers, midwives, intuitives, and seers. In our communities, conjure women were not just mystical figures. They were central. They were called when clarity was needed. They were trusted when decisions mattered. They had a deep connection with the spirit world and were able to translate the messages so that they were easily understood. Midwives and conjure women often knew a person's medicine before they were even born. They knew why that person was coming into this experience. They listened to the lineage. They understood purpose as something that was remembered and not something that you choose. And that lineage now lives in me. And I use my ancestral medicine to help women connect with their sacred blueprint and the ancestral intelligence that informs how they decide, how they lead, and how they move forward when familiar frameworks stop working, when familiar strategies stop working, when they're feeling blocked. I help them connect with that ancestral intelligence. My ancestral medicine is my ability to hear, feel, and see your ancestral stories and to translate the guidance from the ancestors into messages that you can hear, that you can receive, and that are sent to you in the way that the ancestors intend for you to receive them. The ancestors always say, I'm the voice the ancestors want you to hear. So I'm here today to share my voice again, to share the messages of the ancestors, and to just welcome you to this new experience of understanding what the sacred blueprint is. Let's talk about what the sacred blueprint is not. The sacred blueprint is not a plan. It's not a plan. It's not a destiny, someplace that you need to reach. It's not something that you have to try to figure out, not try to figure out, because oftentimes we spend a lot of time looking, digging, diving, researching. And that isn't what your sacred blueprint is. Your sacred blueprint is a living spiritual design that's carried through your lineage, holding medicine, holding gifts, holding healing and guidance meant to support you in this life. And I often look at it as a quilt. Recently, my mother and I attended a quilt show, and it really put this in perspective for me after seeing these beautiful quilts that were handmade by African American women and indigenous women. And I'm looking at these quilts and how they're woven together, and it reminded me of the sacred blueprint. A quilt is woven from many fabrics and threads, and some of the threads are like intentionally, and some are actually orderly. And they are often random. They make random patterns, and some of them are just exact patterns or they're symmetrical. And others are kind of random and unfinished. Some carry beauty and some carry interpretation or messages. And the quilts that were made by enslaved women were quilts that carried messages. They were meant to keep you warm, but they were also messages. And like a quilt passed down from generation to generation, your sacred blueprint holds what was remembered, what was silenced, what was interpreted. And now that blueprint carries what is ready to be restored, what is ready to be brought forward into your life. And for some people, they remember their sacred blueprint early in life. They know it, they know what it is, they know what they want to go for, they get the skills, and they just do it. And then for some, they're blocked by shame, grief, abandonment, abuse, or ancestral stories that were never healed within the family lineage. And then sometimes the remembering skips a generation. And it skips a generation until the ancestors actually find the right one, the one who can hold it and bring it forward in a more powerful way. And I know that when women come to me and they start asking about their ancestors and they're in their second act and they're looking for something different, what I have discovered is they are usually the one the ancestor is calling forward to carry this medicine forward. Whether it was skipped a generation or whether it has been continued, but somehow the current generation is not in tune with it. They don't remember it. So this may be you. You may be the one that's being called forward. And we know this when we go into session and I work with people. I know if they're being called forward as the one to carry the medicine because for some reason it had been blocked for a number of generations. And in some cases, you're the one because you are interested and you want to learn and you want to know. Either way, it doesn't matter if you're the one being called for this generation or you're one of the ones that are being initiated into this. It doesn't really matter as long as you're open to receiving the messages and then doing something with it. There are five core elements that are actually in your sacred blueprint. And not all of these are activated at once. And that really does matter. And I'll talk a little bit more about why. The number one is your ancestral medicine. That's the big one. And that is your unique way of healing. That is your unique wisdom, your unique guidance that naturally just moves through you, moves through your blood and bones, and has for multiple generations. It's often something you've done your whole life without training or permission. And sometimes you kind of know what it is, and other times you're just not really sure, but it is something that naturally occurs for you. something that naturally comes easy for you. Your ancestral medicine is so powerful. It is so powerful. And it helps you as you're moving into your second act in an even more powerful way, because in your second act, you're able to redefine how you want to show up. And when you embrace and activate this ancestral medicine, you can show up differently and do your work in a way that's unique to you. So, number one is your ancestral medicine. The second one are your wisdom keepers. Yes, those, the wisdom keepers, the council. And these are the ancestors, guides, and allies who want to work with you right now. And different seasons call different wisdom keepers forward. So the wisdom keepers are the ancestors that have been assigned to you to help you with these ancestral medicine. They're the ones that understand the medicine. They're the ones that have utilized the medicine, and they're the ones that want to help you shape it into something that is uniquely yours and that works for you. And then we have the Wisdom Council, which are spirit guides and angels that are also working with the ancestor to help you really perfect this medicine and carry it forward in a way that feels really powerful for you. Those are your wisdom keepers. So, number one is the ancestral medicine. Number two, wisdom keepers and the wisdom council. Number three, ancestral story healing. We can't leave that out because that's extremely important as well. And while my focus is really on those healed ancestors and how they support you and help you and how they carry courage, resilience, and the gifts that you have inside of you, we also know that there are some that need support. There are some that need healing. And this is where we see what needs healing so the medicine can flow cleanly. When we know what the ancestral stories are that may be blocking the healing and the flow of the ancestral medicine, then what we can do is release those. And an example of that would be an ancestor who maybe was a healer, and that ancestor did healing work, but at some point it wasn't acceptable or it wasn't good enough. And that ancestor was harmed, maybe even killed because of that medicine that naturally flows through them. They then want to support you by keeping you from experiencing the same thing that they experienced. They never understood because they didn't move into being an ascended ancestor. They stayed in the ancestral plane and didn't experience the healing. And now they're wanting to support you by keeping you from experiencing what they experienced. They're not here to harm you. They're actually here to protect you, but that protection is no longer needed for you. And we need to let them know that they can release now and that they no longer need to protect you. They need to support you with the medicine that they have, that they can now help you with your ancestral medicine. We look at these unhealed stories, the stories that didn't disappear and shape how we live now. So, number three is ancestral story healing. Number four, this is a big one, who you are called to help. So often when I'm talking to women who are either already in business or who are starting a business, maybe starting a business in their second act, or they're doing something different in their second act. They may already have a business, but they want to do something a little bit different with it. And what I have noticed is that many of them will say, I don't know who I'm here to help. People keep telling me, coaches are telling me I need to niche down. I need to have an ideal client. I need to know who I'm working with, but I really don't know. Well, what happens is if you know your ancestral medicine, who you're here to serve becomes clearer and clearer. When we work on your sacred blueprint, we learn who your people are and who you're here to support. Now, for some people, the calling is personal. You're here to support yourself. Maybe you're here to support your family members. Maybe you're here to do some healing in your family lineage, some things that need to be let go. And for others, it's the collective. There's a collective of people that you're here to serve, a collective of people that you're here to heal, a collective of people that need your medicine. It could also be a huge group of people, massive amounts of people, or it could be just your community. It could be right within your city. It could be within your collective of friendships. It could be volunteer work that helps with locally or globally. It really depends on what you're here to do and who you're here to serve. And we find out who that is and who those people are. And then we merge them with your ancestral medicine. And then that takes us into number 5, your unique way or method. Number 5, your unique way or method. How your medicine is meant to move into the world ethically, sustainably, responsibly, and in the right relationship. Your unique method is how we package your ancestral medicine, whether it's into something that you offer as a business or is in something that you offer as a volunteer or a nonprofit, or maybe it's how you give back. We package it so that you are able to really utilize that ancestral medicine and reach the people that you're here to reach. And as a benefit, you begin to one, really fulfill your purpose. And two, you start to be happier. It increases your happiness level. When you know your sacred blueprint, it increases your happiness level on in so many ways. I've seen it with a number of my clients. So I'll repeat the 5 core elements once again: ancestral medicine, wisdom keepers, and your counsel, ancestral story healing, and who you're called to help is number 4. And number 5, your unique way or method. And I wanted to share with you a little bit of a story. And I just met with recently with my client, Jocelyn, and she told me that I could share her story. We've worked together for a number of years on and off doing different things together. Mostly she wanted to connect with their ancestors. And I never thought she would be interested in really knowing what her sacred blueprint was because she was retired. She basically wasn't, interested in working or doing anything like that. She just was ready to have some fun. But she said, maybe I want to know what my sacred blueprint is because I have grandchildren and maybe this will help my grandchildren. So her story goes that as she told me when she was a little girl, she would wander her home and garden and gather whatever caught her eye: leaves, stems, fabric, found objects, and then she would arrange them into something beautiful. And what she realized is she's always been an artist. And people would naturally come to her because of the items that she would create. And they talked to her. They told her their stories and their worries and their disappointments and their grief. And Jocelyn would listen. And then she would create something. She'd walk around and she would find these different things to create and she'd give them because she wanted them to feel better. She didn't call it healing because at that time nobody was even thinking about that in her family. She just knew that people felt better afterwards. She knew that it really lifted their spirits. And years later, many, many years later, Jocelyn came to me and she said, I really want to understand what my sacred blueprint is. I want to hear from my family lineage. And we connected with her paternal grandmother, twice removed. And we discovered something really important and something really powerful that tied in her art and the things she wanted to create and the things that she created to make people feel good. Because you see, Jocelyn had been creating paintings and all different types of things, and she would give them away to her friends, and they would feel a sense of healing and peacefulness when she would give them to her. What we discovered from her grandmother, twice removed, is that Jocelyn comes from a long line of medicine women who used plants and natural forms to create healing arrangements for their communities. They created sanctuaries, they created temples, they created places for healing, for people to come and heal. And that's what they did. And these places were always filled with plants and candles and things that really help nourish people back to health, help them rejuvenate. Now, Jocelyn is nearing 80 years old. She's a retired teacher. And she told me, I don't want to work hard anymore. I don't want to keep doing all of this. But she knew that some way she had to do this work so her granddaughters would learn the ways of their lineage. And she thought it was important for them to do that. Today, Jocelyn listens to the tone of your voice and then she creates art that supports healing. Can you imagine? She listens to the tone of your voice. And when you sit with her and she hears you and hears you, you feel like you're really being heard on so many levels. Her work is very quiet, it's very sacred, it's deeply rooted, and her granddaughters are now actually learning this from her. She is passing it down to the next generation. If that isn't powerful, I don't know what is. And it's just so exciting. And what she has done is she's decided because she doesn't want to work really, really hard. What she does is she only works with people in her local community. And she does this for people in the local community. And maybe she said her granddaughters will want to carry it on to the next level when she's gone. So this story for me reminds me of one truth. Our second act can come at any age. Oftentimes we think it's a particular age or that we're finished. We just lean back, comfortable, we're finished, we're done, we're not working anymore. And for Jocelyn, this isn't work. This is fun. She's enjoying it. She's enjoying that time with her granddaughters. For her, it's something very sacred and it brings her tremendous amount of joy and connection with people, which she really, really needed. Well, now what I'd like to do is I want to guide you through a short moment of remembering. This is something that we'll do very quickly. If it feels safe, I just want you to gently close your eyes and just take a deep breath in and imagine that a beautiful thread, it may be a single thread, it may be multiple threads, are moving through your lineage. And imagine that they're coming from 5 generations back, and you see this thread being woven, and it's 4 generations, and now 3 generations, and now it's to your great grandparents, and now your grandparents, and now it's flowing into your parents. And as it flows into them, the thread turns gold with a beautiful bright light around it. And now that thread takes a journey into you. This is the thread from your lineage that is being passed to you. And just allow it to circle around you and work within you, weaving together the memories of what your ancestral medicine is and who you're here to serve. And feel the connection. And as you feel the connection, just ask your ancestors, what is woven in me that I need to remember today? Notice any signs or symbols. What's coming up for you? Allow it to just come forward. Just reflect on what's always come a little natural to me. Even before I understood why, what has always been natural to me? Don't force an answer. Just notice any sensations that you feel inside your body. Notice the images, any memories you feel, and any feelings that come up. This is often how the sacred blueprint begins to work. So take one more deep breath and exhale, and just gently return back into the space. What came up for you? What did you notice? What did you feel? Maybe there was a color to the thread that was being woven into you. Feel free to drop it in the comments. And for those of you who are on Facebook listening now or listening to the replay, just drop it in the comments and I'll come back and take a look. Yeah. I see some people are feeling, kind of at peace now. Right. Knowing that that is there for you, that the sacred blueprint carries the threads from all of your lineages, and now they're coming into you. You know that there's something even more powerful available to you now to support you. You're not alone. You're on this journey with them. I want to share with you a little bit about how I support people with really identifying the elements of the core elements of their sacred blueprint and really remembering what that sacred blueprint is. And in Conjure Clarity, Sacred Blueprint Activation, it's a program that I offer. And in that program, you will learn your ancestral medicine. You learn who your wisdom keepers are. I'm going to turn my camera off for just a second so that, there we go. You'll learn who your wisdom keepers are and who your counsel is. And you'll learn how your ancestors want to communicate with you so that you can begin your relationship with them. In over 30 days, we open a line. We strengthen your receiving and help you remember what your ancestors already know about you. This isn't about fixing you. It's about remembering you and what you came into this life to experience and to share with others. If something in this conversation today stirred something for you, if it created a little bit of curiosity and some recognition, that's often your ancestors responding. And the next step is simple. If you want to know more about Conjure Clarity, or you want to know if this is something that really will support you with where you are in your life right now, you can book a next steps conversation with me. And that's where we'll listen together and discern whether Conjure Clarity or a deeper container is right for you. There's no pressure, there's no performance, there's just truth. It's just an opportunity for you to experience it. I will place the link in the comments on Facebook to the next steps conversation. And for those of you who are listening on Zoom, I'll be sending out the replay and I'll include the link in there because I actually forgot to pull the link so that you would have it right here and I could place it in our chat on Zoom. But it's definitely there. And if you want to know right away, you can always send an email to me at drmonique@drmonique.com, and I'll give you more information about the next steps conversation so we can take a look and see what would work for you. Okay, I just want to remind you as we close that you're not behind. As you know, Jocelyn's 80 years old. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not searching for something that is outside of you. You're remembering what's in you. And you're standing at the edge of remembering. And your lineage is already leaning toward you. They're leaning in. They brought you here today to learn more. And I just want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for listening. And I thank you for carrying what only you can carry, the gifts that only you have. I really want to thank you for carrying them and bringing them forward. I want to thank the ancestors and all the beautiful beings that are here to support us on this journey. We thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your blessings. For those of you who are on Zoom, stick around. I'm going to end our recording and you'll be able to ask some questions. For those who are not on Zoom with us, you definitely want to get on Zoom when you can for our Conjure Clarity Live because you get a chance to ask questions at the end. Conjure Clarity Live is every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Time and 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Join me back here. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you on Zoom at some point. Bye for now.